Greetings comrades, and welcome to the Music Factory. This is the first video I ever made for this channel, so it's probably best if I let you know what it's all about. I'm Buster, and I'll be making video reviews of albums, EPs, live shows, and also letting you know a few of my thoughts about the music industry today. This channel is an extension of a blog which I run with a friend of mine. If you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and check it out. There's a link in the description below. And if you want to keep up to date with all of our videos, go ahead and click subscribe here. You'll be notified whenever I make a new one. So, seeing as this is our first video, and it's still January, just about, I thought I'd take you through the top 5 albums I'm looking forward to in 2013. So without further ado, let's get started with number 5. So, at number 5, we've got Swedish electronic duo The Knife, with their 4th album proper, Shaken the Habitual, due for release on the 9th of April. Now, this is the first album we've had from these guys for 7 years, so their devoted followers are understandably pretty excited about this new release. This album, Silent Shout, was this dark, mysterious masterpiece, and The Knife's unique sound has been a really big influence on the electronic music scene today. If you're not familiar with them, I highly recommend you check them out. I've put a couple of their videos in a playlist which I'm putting at the end of this video. It's got all the tracks I'm talking about in it, so you can get to know them there. The band's taste for experimentation makes it really difficult to know what to expect from Shaken the Habitual. All we have to go on so far is this mysterious teaser video that they've put out on their website. All it is a couple of girls playing in the park. There's really nothing to indicate what the album's going to be like. It looks like something more out of, I don't know, a Crime Watch recreation or Don't Look Now. But all this just adds to the anticipation that's surrounding this album. I really can't wait. I think it's definitely going to be one of the albums of 2013. So, let's get on to number 4. Number 4, it's one of my personal musical heroes, Johnny Marr, with The Messenger. Due for release on the 26th of February, it's his first solo album since the Smiths broke up in 1987. Unlike his bandmate and songwriting partner Morrissey, who's released solo album after solo album of sort of varying quality, Johnny Marr so far hasn't had a solo career. But that's not to say he's done nothing since the Smiths. He's worked with a number of bands since then, including The, Modest Mouse, and most recently The Cribs. A few of the tracks from The Messenger are out there already, and I've put them in a playlist which I'll link to at the end of this video, along with all the other tracks I'm going to talk about. Marr's signature guitar style of intricate melodic riffs is immediately recognisable on these tracks, but it seems like the influence of The Cribs has rubbed off on him a little bit as well. Upstarts in particular has a definite indie punk feel to it. Now, this type of music has fallen out of fashion somewhat, and guitar music in general hasn't been exciting for a few years now. But if anyone can bring it back, then it's Johnny Marr, and the fact that this is a debut album means it definitely deserves a place on this list. Okay, moving on to number 3. Now at number 3, it's a bit of a wildcard entry. It's My Bloody Valentine, who are due to release an album sometime this year. Now there's very little we actually know about this album. There's no title, there's no release date, and there's been no material that I've heard so far. All we really know is that lead singer Kevin Shields has said in a number of interviews that there will be an album released sometime this year. There's not a lot to go on really, but their 1991 album, Loveless, was such a seminal LP that any follow-up has really just got to be fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to this one. So yeah, I took a little bit of a risk putting this album in at number 3, but just the fact that My Bloody Valentine have had such a huge influence on so many genres like shoegaze and post-rock, of which I'm a huge fan, meant that I had to put it in the list. Okay, so let's move on to number 2. So at number 2, it's Atoms for Peace, with their debut album Amok, which is due for release on the 26th of February. Now, Atoms for Peace are a supergroup, which includes Radiohead frontman Thom Yorke, Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist Flea, and longtime Radiohead producer Nigel Godrich. They formed towards the end of 2009 as an experimental side project for Yorke, outside of his main band Radiohead. And there are a couple of tracks from Amok which are already out there, namely Judge, Jury and Executioner and their debut single Default. Now it's clear that Thom Yorke is the senior member in this supergroup. Both the tracks I mentioned are archetypal Yorke tracks, with electronic beats, clicks and synths that we've all become used to over the years from his music. Either of these tracks would easily stand up against The King of Limbs or his debut solo album, The Eraser. From what I've heard so far, I'm really excited about the release of this album. I especially like the simple, almost beatbox style of Judge, Jury and Executioner. And it seems like it's definitely much more than a stopgap to the next Radiohead album. And that's why it's made it in at number 2. So right, let's get down to it. Number 1 album, here we go. And here it is then, that moment we've all been waiting for. It's my number 1 most anticipated album of 2013. And it's Earl Sweatshirt with his second album, Doris. Now, Earl Sweatshirt is another product of infamous West Coast alternative rap group Odd Future. which have given us the likes of Tyler the Creator and Frank Ocean. Now so far Earl has been one of the lower profile members of Odd Future, mostly making appearances on other members of the band's albums, like on Bastard by Tyler the Creator and on Frank Ocean's Channel Orange. Earl's self-titled debut album, released on the band's website as a free download in 2009, showed just his raw talent. And at only 18 years of age, it's clear that he's going to be a star of the future. Now the first single from Doris is called Chum, and it's already been released. It's a really great track that recaptures that raw talent from Earl's debut, but with real improved production that kind of really lifts this track. There's also a noticeable improvement in his lyrics, which has come from great maturity, I think. Now Chum is a really heartfelt track that deals with some deep-seated hurt that Earl has from his father abandoning him when he was just a kid. And his unique, sort of laid-back rapping style really makes this track something unique and fantastic. So what can we expect from this album? I expect loads of collaborations, top-notch producing, and biting lyrics that pull absolutely no punches. And it definitely deserves to be our #1. And there we have it. Those are the top 5 albums that I'm looking forward to in 2013. But I want to know what you guys think. Which albums are you looking forward to this year? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll get back to you. Also let me know what you'd like to see me review, or any other videos you'd like to see. So lastly, just thanks for watching, and check out the playlist that I've linked to at the end of this video for all the tracks that I've talked about. And don't forget to hit subscribe. And this is The Factory clocking off. I'll see you next time.